I guess we should really stop calling this shocking, shouldn't we? It wasn't really a shocking event. Was it a shock? And I'm guilty of it too. I said, oh my gosh, shocking turn of events as Joe Biden pardons his son Hunter. Shocking news out of Washington, D.C. President Biden has pardoned his son Hunter. Really, it's not. What would be more shocking is if he stayed true to his word, wouldn't it? It'd be more shocking if he actually did what he said. The Democrats, man, these people, is there nothing they hold sacred? Is there nothing that they tell the truth about? What's up? This is Mark Kaye Saves the Republic. And man, it's so good to be. I'm so glad to be back. I hope everyone enjoyed their Thanksgiving weekend, their extended holiday weekend. I hope everybody had enough turkey. Maybe you did some crazy shopping. I don't know. It was a lot of news this week, and it's really interesting to see because we have, for the first time in a long time, well, in 4 years, we have now a president in Donald Trump who is not taking any time off. There's very little time. Like there's not enough time at all for Donald Trump to do everything that he wants to do. And with a 4-year period, it is constant. It is constant motion, constant momentum, and constant news. In fact, I read an article. I need to try to find it because I think it made me LOL, which stands for, that's how the cool kids say laugh out loud. But it was about the media already being exhausted. The media is already exhausted by this new presidential administration, and it hasn't even started yet. I'll dig that up for you here in just a minute. We'll share it. But it is just, man, what an exciting weekend. And of course, we had Thanksgiving. We had the Kash Patel announcement on Saturday. We had the surprise Justin Trudeau flew down from Canada and visited with Donald Trump because he was scared, because he was petrified of the 25% tariffs. So he got on a plane and he showed up at Mar-a-Lago for a surprise visit. He was like, surprise! Oh, sacre bleu, c'est moi! All of a sudden, everybody's running around going, oh man, Donald Trump is so powerful. Donald Trump's not even president yet. And he's got the heads of state from other countries dropping everything. He dropped, what's his name? Justin Trudeau just dropped his poutine where he was eating it, headed out on his plane to West Palm Beach and met with Donald Trump before Donald Trump would do serious damage to Canada. All because of the ignoring of the migrant crisis and the drug crisis and the border crisis by Canada there at the northern border with the United States of America. Listen, we'll get to all of that. There's new information right now. Karine Jean-Pierre and Joseph Robinette Biden Jr. are on Air Force One, and they're headed to Africa. Because when you pardon your son, you don't want to stick around town. You want to get out. You not only do you want to leave town, you want to leave the continent. And so Joe Biden's like, all right, I pardoned my son Hunter. Where can I go now? Let's go to Africa. Everybody fire up the jets. And so they're headed to Africa as we speak, because he promised years ago that he would go to Africa. And I guess breaking one promise a weekend is enough for him, because, he also promised he would never pardon his son, Hunter Biden. Look, we're going to get to all of that. We have some audio that's coming off of the plane too. But before we do, I want to say, first of all, thank you so much for being here. And please make sure that you subscribe to this channel, because if you're a subscriber, if you've set the notifications, if you're one of those Catriots in good standing, if you're one of those liberty loving, freedom defending Catriots who goes, man, I love Mark Kaye Saves the Republic, and I don't want to miss a second of it. If you're one of those people, first of all, thank you very much. I'm so glad that you're here. But you'll know that over the weekend, we were busy. I had so much content coming out. I had video after video after video. When this pardon came down yesterday, I dropped what I was doing, which was basically nothing. And I ran in here and I explained it all to you so that you would get a full understanding. There's even more, though, that we need to discuss today. And we're going to discuss that, but I don't want you to miss a beat. So please subscribe, set the notification bell, and that way YouTube, Rumble, everybody, they're going to let you know as soon as we get you more information. If you're listening to our podcast, subscribe to the podcast. Tell iTunes, tell Spotify. Whenever Mark Kaye does something, I want to know about it. I want to be a Mark Kaye Saves the Republic stalker. That's what I want to be. It's really easy. It's really easy to do. All right, I guess we should dive into this pardon thing. So I don't know. I assume everybody heard. But maybe if you didn't hear, let me just bring you up to snuff. So President Joe Biden pardoned his son Hunter yesterday, and he dropped a I guess it was an X post, and on his X post he had this whole, he had the whole official White House statement, and I'll read it to you. I'll read a little bit of it to you here because I mean, why not? He wrote, let me just pull it up here. There we go. And ta-da. He wrote, today today, hold on, I hear myself coming out of somewhere. That sounded weird. Oh, golly, that's the wrong way. Here we go. He wrote, today, I signed a pardon for my son, Hunter. From the day I took office, I said I would not interfere with the Justice Department's decision-making, and I kept my word, even as I have watched my son being selectively and unfairly prosecuted. By the way, if you took out the words my son and Hunter Biden and replaced them with Donald Trump, this would be the exact, it would work just as well. For example, today, I signed a pardon for Donald Trump. From the day I took office, I said I would not interfere with the Justice Department's decision-making, and I kept my word, even as I have watched Donald Trump being selectively and unfairly prosecuted. See, it works exactly the same. He goes on to say, look, the gun thing, this, the tax thing, blah, blah, blah. The charges in this case seem like they came from political opponents. And then at the very bottom, it says, here's the truth. I believe in the justice system, but as I have wrestled with this, I also believe raw politics has infected this process, and it has led to a miscarriage of justice. Now, that miscarriage of justice term is very important, and we're going to come back to that because, look, Hunter Biden is not what you would call an innocent man, and we know that because he's been found guilty on a couple of charges. He's been found guilty on, not paying his taxes to the IRS and falsifying information on a gun permit. You're not supposed to, the question was, are you under the influence of drugs? Are you a drug addict? Are you an alcoholic? Are you just a horrible person? And he answered no to all of those. That's against the law, especially when you're looking for a federal gun permit. So anyway, he was found guilty. There's probably going to be some jail time. And so Joe Biden released this information regarding the pardon last night. I want to read the actual pardon though, because this is where it gets kind of sticky. Executive grant of clemency. To all to whom these presents shall come, greeting. It's a very old school way I love the way these things are written, don't you? To all to whom these presents shall come, greeting. Be it known that this day, I, Joseph R. Biden Jr., President of the United States, pursuant to my powers under Article 2, Section 2, Clause 1 of the Constitution, which, by the way, I'm shocked he's read, have granted unto Robert Hunter Biden a full and unconditional pardon. Now, this is where it gets interesting, because he outlines not specific crimes, but a very large swath of time during which these crimes may have been committed. For those offenses against the United States which he has committed or may have committed or taken part in during the period from January 1, 2014 through December 1, 2024. So that's like 11 years. From January 1, 2014, all the way through December 1, 2024, including, but not limited to, all offenses charged or prosecuted, including any that have resulted in convictions by special counsel, yada, 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 in testimony whereof I have hereunto signed my name and caused the pardon to be recorded with the Department of Justice. All right, so what does this mean? This means that Hunter Biden is free and clear of the gun charge. He's free and clear of the tax charges. He's free and clear of all the charges that have happened in the last few years. He's also free and clear of everything he may have done, whether convicted or not, since January 1st, 2014. Now, why is that significant? Well, guess what? He started working for Burisma and getting money from Burisma in April of 2014. This is not a pardon to his son. This is a gift to his entire family. This wipes out any and all criminal prosecution that Hunter Biden could have for any and all involvement in any of the things we've been investigating for years now. Do you remember James Comer? James Comer came out and said, we've got this whole intricate plot. There's all these shell companies and there's payments from James Biden to Hunter Biden to the big guy, all this money being filtered all over the place from Ukraine. We've got the WhatsApp message where he says, I'm sitting here with my father and blah, blah, blah. And all of a sudden $5 million shows up in their account like the next day from this Chinese guy that they were blackmailing. All of that stuff is now gone. Joe Biden, it's like Joe Biden and the family sat down and they said, all right, when did we commit the first crime? April, when in 2014? All right, well, here's what we'll just start at January 1st. We'll just go all 11 years. I mean, this is one of the most unprecedented violations of constitutional authority we've seen. I mean, look, he does have the authority to do it. He's the president. He can blanket pardon anyone, but that doesn't mean that he should. And man, in doing so, he has destroyed the entire Democrat Party. He has destroyed Joe Biden has single-handedly destroyed the Democrat Party for a couple of ways. Number one, being president. Number two, pretending that he was well enough to run for president. Number three, dipping out and throwing Kamala Harris right up there on the pedestal. So the Democrats were forced to nominate her to run against President Donald Trump. After that, he's now pardoning his son, basically proving that every single Democrat who ever existed over the last few years is a liar. And to prove it, here is a list of every single Democrat over the last few years lying about Hunter Biden getting pardoned by Joe Biden.
No one is above the law.
No one is above the law.
Nobody is above the law.
No one is above the law.
No one is above the law.
Nobody is above the law.
No one 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 is above the law.
Yeah, except of course Hunter Biden. He's the only one who's above the law. And the big problem here is that now not only do all these Democrats look like they're idiots and or liars, and probably both, but Joe Biden has just arbitrarily chosen his son, his family, and let's face it, himself. I mean, in protecting Hunter Biden from any kind of prosecution, guess who he's also protecting? James Biden, Jill Biden, Ashley Biden, Joe Biden. All of Hunter was the linchpin to the case against Joe Biden. Hunter Biden was the keystone that as soon as they pulled it out from underneath the building, the entire house of cards would come crumbling down. And now that Hunter Biden is free and clear of all these charges, guess what? The rest of the Bidens are going to live out their days without any kind of stress, free from prosecution, and any case against them would have to be built up again from the ground floor. They would now have to start investigating all the other Bidens to try to figure out exactly how this criminal crime family was able to do these dubious deeds and benefit off of Joe Biden's place of influence within the Democrat Party. Because if you keep in mind, look, that's the other thing you got to realize. January 1st, 2014. Okay. Well, in January of 2014, guess who was vice president of the United States? Joseph Robinette Biden Jr. He was vice president of the United States from 2008 to 2016. So he's granting him clemency for things he could have done while he was in office as vice president, which we know there were some instances that James Comer and the Republicans have been investigating of Hunter Biden selling direct influence, not just to Joe, but to then President Barack Obama. And that is all gone with the swipe of a pen. Joe Biden's presidency, almost the entirety of his presidency from when he took office in 2021 to December 1st to yesterday, also wiped clean. Anything Hunter Biden did in the way of committing a crime while his father was president is now has disappeared. Basically, it's been dissolved by this pardon. And don't think that that's not part of the master plan. Now, Joe Biden, of course, has on several occasions told us he's not going to pardon his son.
I said I abide by the jury decision. I will do that, and I will not pardon him.
But we know now that that's not the case. He told David Muir, the worst person in the entire world, I will abide by the ruling, and I have no plans to pardon Hunter.
As we sit here in Normandy, your son Hunter is on trial, and I know that you cannot speak about an ongoing federal prosecution. But let me ask you, will you accept the jury's outcome, their verdict, no matter what it is?
Yes.
And have you ruled out a pardon for your son?
Yes.
Okay, so all right, hold on. Let me go back here because maybe I misunderstood. So Joe Biden says he will uphold the jury decision and he's ruled out a pardon for his son. But wait a minute, this says Robert Hunter Biden, a full and unconditional pardon. So, not really adding up there. He says one thing and he does another. And I know that that's not at all shocking. That's not at all out of the ordinary. That's the norm for the Democrat Party. They are the party of saying one thing and doing the other. They've complained about Donald Trump. They've talked about Donald Trump and how he's been going to blanket pardon all these people. And in the end, Joe Biden becomes the first president of the United States of America to pardon himself. Do you remember they talked about Donald Trump pardoning himself on the way out the door, which he didn't even do? Donald Trump could have pardoned himself and saved himself a whole mess of headaches. But Donald Trump didn't pardon himself for two reasons. Number one, he wasn't guilty of anything. And number two, he wanted to run for president again. And he knew this would destroy any credibility he had with the American people and the voters. Joe Biden's not running for president again. Joe Biden's barely walking. He can't run for president. He's already ceded that position to somebody else. It was Kamala Harris. She failed miserably. I guess he realized, well, I guess Kamala's not going to be pardoning Hunter, so it's up to me. And so Joe Biden took it upon himself to go back on his word and the word of several other Democrats. Oh, not to mention his own White House press secretary, Karine Jean-Pierre, who, if I were her, I would walk right into the Oval Office and I would just punch Joe Biden square in the face. I don't know how this woman she's on the plane with him right now, and we're going to hear her. She's still defending this guy. He made her look like an idiot. She said repeatedly from the dais, the podium, in the White House press briefing room, Joe Biden will not pardon Hunter.
Second one, would the president pardon or commute his son if he's convicted?
So I've answered this question before. It was asked of me not too long ago, a couple of weeks ago, and I was very clear, and I said no.
Okay.
Let me go back to the first question of the briefing. I know you said not a lot's changed since yesterday and that it's a personal matter, but from a presidential perspective, is there any possibility that the president would end up pardoning his son?
No.
Again, you've also said several times that the president would not pardon or commute the sentence for his son, Hunter. I just want to make sure that that is not going to change over the next 6 months. The president's saying he would not.
It's still a no. It's still a no.
It will always be a no.
It's still a no. It will be a no. It is a no, and I don't have anything else to add. Will he pardon his son? No.
Man, I wish she could have all of I bet she wishes she could have all of those back, huh? It's always been a no. It's going to be a no. It's still a no. Will he pardon his son, Hunter? No. Hang on. Let me just check one more time. Robert Hunter Biden, a full and unconditional pardon. Yeah. Doesn't seem to check out. If we're fact checking Karine Jean-Pierre, I would say false.
It's still a no. It will be a no. It is a no, and I don't have anything else to add. Will he pardon his son? No.
Yeah, that's going to get a big false from the Mark Kaye fact checker. Because again, as we just saw, and again, I don't know Karine Jean-Pierre personally. If I did, if I had her phone number, if I had her text message, I would write to her. I would be like, sister, get out of there. You have got to stand up for yourself. If you stay in this White House for the remaining 60 days or 50 days or whatever it is, you will have no shot. If you continue to lie on behalf of this man who's forced you to lie on behalf of him, this old white man who took your young black lesbian self, put you out there, you thought he was doing you a favor, but really he wasn't. He was destroying your credibility in your career. And in fact, Scott Jennings was on CNN and he said the exact same thing, that Karine Jean-Pierre really should be angrier than anybody.
If Karine Jean-Pierre had an ounce of self-respect, she'd get off the plane in Africa today where they're going so he can avoid the press and resign. He's drained all of her credibility, and everybody else who's defended this, it's draining for them forever.
Well, and Karen, to be fair, Joe Biden, we did play that sound earlier, did flat out say on multiple occasions, and the press secretary did, that he would not pardon Hunter Biden.
And they're having trouble finding people who can support and stick up for Joe Biden in this scenario. They're having trouble finding people who are going to be like, he made the right move. He did the right thing. As a president of the United States, this was totally within his power and his purview, and he made the decision, and we should all stand by him. Very few people are saying that because, as Scott Jennings will point out, this is one of the most disgraceful things that has ever happened, and it shows that the true character of Joe Biden. This erases his 40, 50-year career. It was all pretty salacious and bad anyway, but this really will be the big black dot that we will remember Joe Biden's presidency by.
Joe Biden is leaving office making the strongest possible case for Donald Trump that anybody could possibly make it, and that's that our government and our justice system is of, by, and for the elites and nobody else. He ran to banish Trumpism from our political system in this country, and he has left it politically and now institutionally the strongest possible political force in this country. It is a complete and utter failure by the head of the Democratic Party and the President of the United States. Never again do I want to hear, oh, Donald Trump's a liar. You can't believe anything he says. Donald Trump will abuse his power. Donald Trump will only use the system to benefit himself and his family and so on and so forth. Never again. I have one question for Karen, and that is, why did he need an 11-year blanket pardon going back to 2014 when Joe Biden was the vice president? We are sitting on the biggest cover-up of who knows what crimes, and Joe Biden amazingly knows exactly, roughly, when it started. He knows just about when it all started. He's leaving office in complete and total disgrace. He is a liar, and there is no other way to spin this today. This has nothing to do with Trump and everything to do with the character of Joe Biden.
And the point that he makes is that he's destroyed any attack the Democrats have on President Donald Trump moving into it. If President Donald Trump decides that he would like to, I don't know, let's just say he'd like to pardon the January 6th hostages who are still being held by the FBI and by the Department of Justice, he can do that. And in fact, President Trump wrote on Truth Social, does the pardon given by Joe to Hunter include the January 6th hostages who have now been in prison for years? Such an abuse and miscarriage of justice. So there we have not just a response by President Donald Trump, but a little hint as to what some of his first orders of business might be after he takes the oath of office. After Donald Trump comes back, what would he do? What is President Trump going to do? Well, we know that he's going to shut down the border. We know he's going to start the most massive deportation effort in American history. We know he's going to drill, baby, drill. We know all of that, but I imagine there's going to be a whole slew of pardons that Donald Trump's going to be preparing and signing on day one as well, especially now that Joe Biden has made it okay to pardon anybody. Joe Biden pardoned a direct member of his family who had been found guilty of 2 crimes and suspected guilty of multiple other crimes involving the guy who actually pardoned him. I mean, this is one of the most unbelievable abuses of presidential power in history. Because as it's always been said, as James Comer has told you before, as Jim Jordan has said repeatedly, this investigation into Hunter Biden is not an investigation into Hunter Biden. It's an investigation into Joe Biden. These crimes that the Republicans have been investigating against Hunter Biden are not crimes against Hunter Biden. They're crimes against Joe Biden. Joe Biden, the big guy, according to the information in the laptop. Joe Biden, who got 10%. Joe Biden, who called into Hunter Biden's dinners with his associates. Joe Biden, who Hunter Biden told his associates via WhatsApp, was sitting right next. I'm sitting here with my father, and he's not we're going to make sure your life is miserable, blah, blah, blah. I'm paraphrasing, but you get the deal. And then all of a sudden, the millions of dollars shows up in their bank account. This was never about Hunter Biden. It was always about Joe Biden. And Joe Biden has just used his presidential appointment, his presidential power of clemency and pardon to basically pardon himself. And as Scott Jennings tells you, it's disgraceful.
This is the worst possible thing a president could possibly do to his party and to the country, to sit for a year and say, I will not do this. I will not do this. The rule of law is sacred. We have to respect the justice system. Juries, we have to respect juries. We have to respect the guardrails and the norms of our democracy. These people are liars. Inflation is transitory. Afghanistan, it's a success. The border is secure. Robert Hur is a liar. The videos are cheap fakes. Biden has a cold. He'll never drop out. Oh, I'll never pardon Hunter. It's all a lie. It is all a grift. Every American, except the most partisan, brain-rotted people, are going to be outraged by this today. He is going to leave off. You think 39% job approval is bad? Just you wait. Just you wait. He's disgraced.
Yeah, he's disgraced everybody. He's disgraced the party. Look, the Democrat Party has never been in such disarray. It's never been in such a bad position. And Joe Biden just keeps kicking it when it's down. Joe Biden has done in his last few months here has really taken the shred, whatever's left of the Democrat Party, and just splintered it. First, he destroyed the Democrat Party by throwing Kamala Harris up there, and that was against the will of Barack Obama and Nancy Pelosi. Barack Obama and Nancy Pelosi, they didn't want Kamala Harris. They just knew they didn't want Joe Biden. They were looking for some other candidate that they felt might have a shred of a chance of winning, of defeating Donald Trump. And it was just botched from the get-go. And now Joe Biden, in a final effort of defiance, thumbs his nose up at everybody. Democrats, Republicans, the American people, the Constitution says, screw it. You guys gave me the power to pardon my son. You took the power away from me when you told me to step down and put in Kamala Harris. She failed miserably. I'm going to do whatever I need to do to protect myself on the way out the door. This is a guy who has no friends left. This is a guy who faces nothing but enemies. When Donald Trump said, I think Joe Biden likes me more than he likes Barack Obama, I think he's right. Because this does so much damage to whoever the Democrats run in 2028. Whoever the Democrats run in 2028, just by being a member of the same party that Joe Biden is a member of, they already are fighting against this blemish. They're fighting against this blemish and the Kamala Harris stuff and all the abortion mess and the open border scenario. It's just more and more baggage that Joe Biden's piling on. Now, I did mention that there was a flight to Africa that Joe Biden and Karine Jean-Pierre are on. And while they're on this flight to Africa, of course, the press corps is there as well. They don't have video feeds, but they have audio feed. These are some of the comments that were made to the press corps. Karine Jean-Pierre denies she and Biden were lying when they repeatedly told the American people there would be no pardon.
You have said repeatedly yourself since the election, the president has said for months, no pardon was coming. I wanted to ask you, could those statements now be seen as lies from the American people? Is there really a credibility issue here given now this announcement?
First of all, one of the things that the president always believes is to be truthful to the American people. That is something that he always truly believes. And if you see the end of his, I assume that you've read his statement, and you look at the end of that statement, and he actually says that in the first line in the last paragraph, and respects the thinking and how the American people will actually see this in his decision making. And I would encourage everyone to read in full the president's statement. I think he lays out his thought process. He lays out how he came to this decision. He came to this decision this weekend. So let's be very clear about that. He says it himself. It's in his voice. He said he came to this decision this weekend. And he said he wrestled with this. And because he believes in the justice system, but he also believes that the war politics infected the process and led to a miscarriage of justice.
Okay, so Joe Biden came to this decision this weekend. We're supposed to believe that. He told us he wasn't going to pardon Hunter Biden. That was a lie. But the fact that he just decided it this weekend, that we're supposed to believe. Like he pardoned the turkeys last week, Peach and Blossom, and then he was like, that was fun. You know what? Maybe I got another turkey I can pardon. Who's left? Hunter? Let's do it. He came to this decision this weekend. I know why he came to this decision this weekend. I think he came to the decision a long time ago. I think he pulled the trigger this weekend, and I'll explain exactly why. But here's another clip from the press room or press area on Air Force One. Karine Jean-Pierre won't say if Biden discussed the pardon with Hunter during their taxpayer-funded family vacation to Nantucket this past weekend. Because remember, if Joe Biden were truly, if he did truly make this decision this past weekend was Thanksgiving, and he was with Hunter Biden.
The president made this decision this weekend, as he said.
The two of them were together this weekend. Did the president and Hunter discuss this possibility? Did they talk about this happening?
So what I can say is he made this decision this weekend. He made it himself. I don't have anything else to discuss beyond that.
Sure enough, he's talking about Hunter.
I just don't have anything to discuss. I've been pretty consistent in not talking about private conversations that he's had with his family. I just don't have anything to say. Besides, the president made this decision this weekend, as he said in his statement, and he made this decision himself. Once he made this decision, he shared it with his senior staff.
The two of them were together this week.
So there she is deflecting again. But look, Joe Biden doesn't change his clothes without help from his family. You think he was going to decide?
Does the president believe now?
Put a blemish on his entire presidential career, on his entire political career? Do you think he was going to destroy all of that without sitting down and talking to his family? Do you think I mean, we know for a fact that he didn't write this thing. Somebody else wrote it for him. So who was it that he was sitting down with, having turkey with, eating Jenny's chocolate chip ice cream with this weekend? Who made the decision? Dr. Jill Biden? I imagine it was all of them. I imagine Hunter was in his ear saying, Dad, they screwed you over, man. They screwed you over bad. Barack Obama, he came in and he threatened you, and Nancy Pelosi, that old witch, you know, she never liked you anyway, Dad. And you know how you could stick it to him? Yeah, you got him good with that Kamala pick, but you know what would really stick it to him is if you pardon me, because that will basically disgrace the entire party. And they'll have 4 years to try to find somebody who can run against whoever's running against on the Republican side without the stank and stench of you pardoning me. Plus, it would give Donald Trump the ability to pardon anyone he wants, and you would set this great precedent that the Democrats couldn't argue. It'd be a great final dig to them. Dad, come on, Dad, what do you think? Let's do it. Then we'll go play some ball. Of course, Hunter Biden said, you're not going to sit around Thanksgiving in Nantucket with your dad 50 days before he loses the power to pardon you and wipe clear all of the crimes you've ever committed in your life. You're not going to sit around and not bring it up. Come on, what were they doing? Playing Parcheesi? Absolutely not. Here's another one. This is where they get into an argument about whether or not Joe Biden believes the DOJ has been weaponized for political purposes. This is one of my favorites.
Does the president believe now and agree with President-elect Trump that the justice system has been weaponized for political purposes and that it needs root and branch reform?
Good question.
No, read the president's statement. Seriously, read the president's statement. He said he believes in the Department of Justice. He does. He says it in his statement. He believes. He also believes that raw politics infected the process and it led to a miscarriage of justice. He believes his son was unfairly targeted. He said that what his political opponents have done to my son, that's his words, is cruel and enough is enough. He says he believes in the justice system. And I said both things. No, but both things. Well, I'm not gonna. I can only speak for this president. I'm not gonna speak for anybody else. Both things could be true, right? And that's what he says. He says that the Department of Justice. He believes in the Department of Justice. He also believes that, politics infected the process here. It infected the process, and you saw that when the deal fell apart. And let's not forget, the Department of Justice agreed on that deal. The president said if that deal had moved forward, he thought it would be a fair process. And when that deal fell apart, his political opponents took credit for it. They took credit for it and didn't seem like they were going to stop.
Okay, how much is this woman making that she's selling her soul to Joe Biden? How much does the press secretary make? Because I'll be honest with you, White House press secretary makes $180,000. That's it? That's enough for her to sell her soul to the devil? I mean, come on. Scott Jennings was right. She has no credibility left, and she continues to go to bat for this man, to lay her own life and her own future on the line for Joe Biden, who clearly doesn't care about anybody but himself. Because look, let's be honest. Let's say, okay, fine. Hold on. Let's be honest. Let's say Joe Biden was like, look, it's my son, it's my family. I got to protect my family, whatever. Okay, great. Well, there's a lot of other collateral damage. Every other Democrat in the party, whoever's running for the presidency in 2028, Karine Jean-Pierre, countless other members of his communication team and his staff who had to go to bat and lie on his behalf. I mean, she's saying you can believe in the Department of Justice and also believe that this was a raw political hit job on my son. Both can be true. No, they can't. You can't say the Department of Justice is uncorrupted and then turn around and say, except in this one instance when it happened to find my son guilty on these charges. All that stuff they got up about Donald Trump, that's 100% accurate. All the Trump stuff, that's legit. Donald Trump did steal top secret documents. Donald Trump did hide them at Mar-a-Lago. He was going to sell them to the Chinese. Donald Trump was a terrible person. He did stand up and incite an insurrection. Donald Trump did all of that stuff. But my son, that was just raw politics. That was a miscarriage of justice. The DOJ is really, really good in every instance except one. And that was when prosecuting my son. And she's trying to sell it to us.
Believe now and agree with President-elect Trump.
Let me go Let me go here. This is it fair to compare Biden's pardon of Hunter to the J6ers targeted by Biden's DOJ?
President-elect Trump has likened this to the case of the so-called January 6thers, the people who are imprisoned because of their role in January 6th. What do you think of that argument? And do you think that that's a fair parallel, that he believes he should make?
Today I'm going to talk about the pardon. We've been very clear about January 6th. The president has been clear about that. He's spoken to that many times before. What we believe in this particular case is what is unprecedented is the way that his son was singled out.
Singled out. So his son was singled out, and that is unprecedented. And as a result, Karine Jean-Pierre, she's beside herself. She's totally beside herself. Now, Breitbart had a bevy of, man, there's so many great stories about this kind of thing. But the fact of the matter is that when you look at the pardon, when you look at the blanket power of this pardon, when you look at how many crimes potentially Hunter Biden and the rest of his family could have committed in the 11 years that this pardon covers, you have to scratch your head and go, wait a minute, this isn't just about some gun charge that Joe Biden thought was bogus. This isn't just about some unpaid tax bills. This is about a cover-up. This is about a criminal investigation that will now go uninvestigated because of what Joe Biden did yesterday on a random Sunday in November. Now, there's a reason I don't think it was that random a Sunday. I'm going to be honest with you. I think there was something that happened the day before which led Joe Biden to make this decision. And I'm going to tell you what that is in just a minute. But first, I want to remind you, ladies and gentlemen, that there is a lot of good stuff to look forward to. We are going into a new golden age. And as a result, you should really take a look at gold, especially depending on your age. Colonial Metals Group, which is a sponsor of Mark Kaye Saves the Republic, and we're glad to have them with our good friend Paul Stone, who's been on the show. Paul Stone came on the show. We had a great conversation about the economy, about the volatility of your potential current assets, including any stocks and bonds you may have, the volatility of the dollar. I mean, what we see, what Paul Stone has told us and what we've seen just in the last couple of years is that whatever your politicians do, whatever the news of the day is, whenever there's a war that erupts, these stocks can go up and down, up and down. And unless you're on the inside like Nancy Pelosi, sometimes you don't necessarily know what's going to happen and you're not going to be able to benefit. And there are much better ways to invest your money and protect your nest egg for the future. And one of them is gold. In fact, any precious metal, gold, silver, platinum. That's why Colonial Metals Group has put together a free gold guide, which you can get by going to freegoldguide.com/KAYE. freegoldguide.com/KAYE. And there's a link in the description of this video. Inside your free gold guide, you'll learn how to protect and grow your retirement savings with a gold IRA, why precious metals offer a strong defense against de-dollarization and inflation, how to safeguard your retirement tax-free and penalty-free, and how to protect your financial future now. Trust me, trust Paul Stone, trust Colonial Metals Group. Get your free gold guide at freegoldguide.com/KAYE and protect your family and your finances for the foreseeable future. That's a lot of F words there, I know. All right, look, there was something that happened that we should not ignore when we're talking about this Hunter Biden pardon. There's something that happened that we should just, in fact, to me, it was everyone was like, why now? Why now? I know exactly why now. Over the weekend, after he met with Justin Trudeau and before Hunter Biden got pardoned, Donald Trump issued a proclamation on Truth Social appointing Kash Patel, the new head of the FBI. Kash Patel, the new head of the FBI. This was the actual statement that Donald Trump released. I am proud to announce that Kash Patel will serve as the next director of the Federal Bureau of Investigation. Kash is a brilliant lawyer, investigator, and America First fighter who has spent his career exposing corruption, defending justice, and protecting the American people. He played a pivotal role in uncovering the Russia hoax, standing as an advocate for truth, accountability, and the Constitution. Kash did an incredible job during my first term, where he served as chief of staff at the Department of Defense, deputy director of National Intelligence, and senior director for counterterrorism at the National Security Council. Kash has tried over 60 jury trials. The FBI will end the growing crime epidemic in America, dismantle the migrant criminal gangs, and stop the evil scourge of human and drug trafficking across the border. Kash will work under our great Attorney General Pam Bondi to bring back fidelity, bravery, and integrity to the FBI. Kash Patel is the worst nightmare of the deep state. Kash Patel is the worst nightmare of the bureaucratic FBI officials who work for Joe Biden, the Democrat Party, and wield their power with political influence and interference. Kash Patel will get rid of all that. Kash Patel is going to bring the FBI back to greatness. He's going to root out all of the people that have targeted President Donald Trump, have targeted Catholics, have targeted parents at PTA meetings. He and Pam Bondi will work to not only root out the bad apples in the barrel, but they will also go after and prosecute anyone in the FBI who has been found to be abusing their power to prosecute, let's just say, a potential political adversary, much like, Donald Trump. And this Kash Patel, I mean, if you think about it, if you backtrack a little, Kash Patel being chosen as head of the FBI and a true anti-deep state, anti-bureaucracy, America First fighter who has no problem investigating anybody who he deems has been working against the people of the United States of America and the Constitution of the United States of America. That guy has no problem going after Hunter Biden. That guy will not lose a wink. He will not lose a wink of sleep going after Hunter Biden, James Biden, Joe Biden, Jill Biden. He will gladly investigate with the passion and with the excitement that Jack Smith investigated Donald Trump. He will flip the script and he will investigate not just Joe Biden, but any other Democrat who may have been culpable, who may have been aiding and abetting the Biden crime family in getting all of this influence money that they allegedly got over the past several years. He would have no problem with it. The subpoenas would fly and they would all say Biden. And I have to believe personally that is one of the reasons why Joe Biden chose this instance to go to take the opportunity to pardon his son Hunter. If Joe Biden's like, look, Hunter Biden needs a pardon 24 hours after Kash Patel gets nominated, it's because he knows that his son would be in serious trouble, as would the rest of his family. And so he now has taken away all of that power from the guy who will be one of the most powerful FBI directors that we've ever seen. Now, we know that Kash Patel is a great choice because people in the FBI don't want him to be their director. Andrew McCabe, for example, was on CNN and he was lying, belittling. He was making up stories. He was just trying to disgrace Kash Patel and Donald Trump's decision to make him FBI director. And all of it is just adding fuel to it makes everybody realize, well, if Andrew McCabe says he's bad, he must be great.
It's a terrible development for the men and women of the FBI and also for the nation that depends on a highly functioning, professional, independent Federal Bureau of Investigation. The fact that Kash Patel is profoundly unqualified for this job is not even like a matter for debate.
Hold on one second. I just got to double check something. Kash Patel, let's just see. I want to double check this. He was the chief of staff at the Department of Defense, deputy director of national intelligence, senior director for counterterrorism at the National Security Council. He worked in the Attorney General's office with 60 jury trials. He worked for Barack Obama. He worked for Donald Trump. This is a guy who has worked under different presidents from different administrations in pretty much every national security department. I don't know if there's anybody more qualified than Kash Patel. But let's get back to what Andrew McCabe said.
What we should really be thinking about right now is what does this signal in terms of Donald Trump's intent for the FBI? The installation, or the nomination, I guess we should say at this point, of Kash Patel as FBI director can only possibly be a plan to disrupt, to dismantle, to distract the FBI, and to possibly use it as a tool for the president's political agenda.
I mean, that's just one of the most ironic statements ever, isn't it? Oh, Donald Trump, you know what he did? He chose Kash Patel. You know why? Because he plans to dismantle the FBI and use it to institute his own political agenda. Gee, that sounds like somebody I know. Who was it? Oh, right. Joseph Robinette Biden Jr. He's going to, you know what, Donald Trump's going to dismantle the FBI. He's got this grand plan. Kash Patel is going to be an agent of change that is going to be Donald Trump's right-hand hitman, and he's going to use the FBI to investigate his political adversaries. That's amazing. That's also a precedent we've seen set by Joe Biden. There's a lot of people who are like, oh, look, this guy's actually a pretty decent choice, and many of them were on CNN defending him.
Look, I don't think the American people are interested in a revenge tour. But obviously, if people did wrong in their official capacities, then that's something they should be concerned about. But if they didn't do anything wrong, if they upheld the law, then there shouldn't be a problem. The objective here, obviously, is to reform the Department of Justice and the FBI and get it back to its mission of going after criminals. You know, growing up in New York, the FBI, in the aftermath of 9/11, was focused on going after terrorism. And obviously, in recent years, we've seen the FBI and the Department of Justice weaponized in a way that it has become completely political. That's not good for the American people. It's not good for our system of justice. The lack of confidence that Americans have in the Department of Justice and the FBI is terrible.
It's terrible. That's Mike Lawler, by the way. He's a representative and he sits on the Foreign Relations Committee. And he's saying the FBI is not there to investigate Americans. It's there to protect Americans from outside threats. And they're not doing that. They're investigating Americans. Oh, fun fact, conservative Americans. That's what I meant. Not conservative Americans. And that's why people have such low opinions of the FBI. Here's Tennessee Senator Bill Hagerty, who's been just about everywhere these days as a surrogate for the Trump transition team, talking again about Kash Patel and what a great choice he is.
He represents the type of change that we need to see in the FBI. If you think about the failures of background checks that have taken place, how could we have somebody like Colin Kahl who tweeted out classified information? I went to the FBI myself. They ignored me. Basically, he was confirmed on a party line vote in the U.S. Senate with Kamala Harris breaking the tie to put this person that should not even have a security clearance in the third most powerful position at DOD. You've got Rob Malley. I don't know how he cleared an FBI check. He's now under investigation. His ties to the Iranian influence regime that worked with him and for him. Ariane Talatabi, who is still at the DOD, should never clear an FBI background check. This entire agency needs to be cleaned out. It's not doing its job. And if you look at what happened, the politicization that took place back in 2016, when senior leaders of the FBI collaborated and conspired to try to keep President Trump out of office. And then when he came into office, they put together this fake Russiagate investigation that hindered the Trump administration in the first several years. Look at 2020. Look at what happened there with the fake Hunter Biden story that the FBI leadership worked together with big tech to censor the Hunter Biden laptop that allowed President Biden to basically, fool the American public and come into office. There are serious problems at the FBI. The American public knows it. They expect to see sweeping change, and Kash Patel is just the type of person to do it.
And by the way, he could have gone on. It's amazing. There's like hours and hours of stories of FBI interference and collaboration and cooperation and corruption. There's an hour. Everybody could talk about it over and over again. And these people that are getting pushed through, their nominations are getting approved by the Senate, and Kamala Harris is casting the tie-breaking votes. It's just ridiculous. Here's Smiley. She's great. She's on CNN as well. CNN, by the way, man, they had to bite their tongues so much this weekend. They had all these Kash Patel lovers and Joe Biden haters on their network. It's almost like they're trying to resurrect their ratings.
Well, there's a lack of trust in the FBI with the American people, and that's exactly what we saw with Donald Trump getting elected. And with Kash, I mean, he has worked national security roles. In fact, he was a prosecutor at the DOJ with the national security under Obama. He's worked with Democrats. He's worked with Republicans. Donald Trump wants change agents. And I think the fact that people here in D.C. insiders, people within the FBI perhaps don't want Kash is a really good sell to the American people.
I mean, yeah, it's like it's basically the rats are telling you not to get a cat is what it is. The rats are out there going, no. Don't get a cat. The cats are horrible. And all of a sudden, Donald Trump's like, you know what? I think I need a cat. They're eating the dogs. We need a cat to get all these rats out of here. And all of a sudden, you get a cat, and guess what? There's no more rats. And they're not stealing your cheese. They're not pooping anywhere. The rats are gone because you got a cat to chase them all out of there. This is what Andrew McCabe saying we don't want Kash Patel. He's a disgrace. He's unqualified. He's going to destroy the agency. Is a rat saying I'm anti-cat. It's 100% what that is. This is a clip I haven't even watched yet. I believe this is Tom Cotton who's out there saying Kash Patel is like amazing.
I do know that Trey is right when he talks about all that Kash worked as a member of that committee staff and then at the White House to expose the corruption and wrongdoing at the FBI and the Department of Justice that unfairly targeted Donald Trump and those around him in his first campaign. I'd also point out that he has many years' experience as a federal prosecutor and a federal public defender, which means he's experienced not only in putting criminals behind bars, but also can understand what happens when government overreaches. That used to be something for the last 4 years that the Democrats extolled as they were putting federal public defenders on the bench. But now all of a sudden they condemn that kind of experience at the very same time that Joe Biden is committing a total perversion of justice by giving his son the most sweeping pardon in modern American history. It's a pretty stark.
It's pretty stark contrast. Yeah, so there you go. So really, lawmakers from all over the Republican Party are saying, look, this guy is going to do everything that he said he's going to do, that Donald Trump promised to do, and he's going to make sure that everything that's happened to President Trump, everything that's happened to anybody, because it's not just the investigation of President Trump. It's not just the attacks on President Trump, the raid at Mar-a-Lago where they rifled through Melania's underwear drawer because, I don't know, they're perverts. Not only that, it's every other American who votes for Donald Trump. Do you remember when the FEMA woman was fired because she told FEMA people in North Carolina, she said, skip the Trump houses. Well, they don't need help. Skip the Trump houses. They don't trust the government anyway. She was fired. And that should never happen. The same thing goes on in the FBI. Democrats get off scot-free. Hunter Biden was not investigated the way Donald Trump was. Hunter Biden was not sought after the way Donald Trump does. Do you remember just look at the top secret documents case. Donald Trump, the president of the United States of America, the only person with the power to unclassify documents, is charged with holding classified documents at Mar-a-Lago. Joe Biden, who was never president before he took these documents to his garage, which was unlocked, and was in possession of top secret documents that were not unclassified. Joe Biden, he got away scot-free. The prosecutor or the investigator said, this is an old man who has no idea what he's doing, that let alone the fact that he took out top secret documents. We're not going to prosecute him. He's just too old. And he was too old and demented to be held accountable for his actions, but he's still president of the United States. Let that sink in. Donald Trump, however, was targeted by Jack Smith, was hounded by the FBI. And now Donald Trump is saying that's never going to happen again. I'm going to bring in somebody who's going to make sure that the FBI, who's going to clean house, who's going to get rid of the riffraff, and who's going to say this is not how we do things in the United States of America. And he's going to protect Americans from the agencies and the people that have sworn themselves to protect other Americans. It's one of the greatest nominations Donald Trump has made so far, and should be easily confirmable because of what we saw earlier. Look, when Matt Gaetz bowed out of contention, there was a lot of backlash from Republicans. None of it really had to do with qualifications. A lot of it had to do with their personal animus toward Matt Gaetz. They'd been attacked by Matt Gaetz before. But in this scenario, it's going to be hard pressed for anyone, Republican or Democrat, to come out against Kash Patel. Because again, Kash Patel has been chief of staff at the Department of Defense. That right there qualifies him for a high-ranking government job like FBI. Deputy Director of National Intelligence. Deputy Director of National Intelligence is a huge job, and that definitely makes him qualified to lead up the FBI. Senior Director for Counterterrorism at the National Security Council. This guy has been a proponent, a fighter, a student of. This guy has been part of our national security for the last several decades. And he's worked for multiple different presidents, and he's been successful. And there is no reason why anybody should find any fault with this nomination or keep it from going through. And anybody that does, anybody that tells you this guy, Kash Patel, is not qualified to be the director of the FBI, first of all, they're worried that he's going to prosecute them. They're worried that he's going to find something on them. And they could also be racist. Because let's be honest, whenever a Republican stands up against a minority appointment of Joe Biden's rather, they're called a racist. So I'm going to say it right now. If there's any Democrat watching or listening, senator or anyone else, if you Do not let this very qualified patriot who has worked diligently over the last 2 decades to fight for the United States of America, to protect us from our enemies, domestic and international, foreign and domestic, if you do not let this guy go through without complaint, you're obviously a racist. Because that's how the Democrats play it. So I'm going to steal a page from their own handbook, and I'm going to play it the exact same way. There's one more story I wanted to share with you, but first I wanted to remind you that you can get my story, The Untold Story of Christmas, available right now. I know it's Cyber Monday or whatever. I know a lot of people are on the internet and they're shopping. So go to theuntoldstoryofchristmas.com and get yourself a copy of this beautiful book. We've sold, over the weekend, I would say at least, several hundred. The orders were coming in over and over and over again. I love when people are sitting at home and they're bored with their relatives and they go online and they buy stuff. The Untold Story of Christmas is the story of the birth of Jesus, but it's from a different set of eyeballs. And it's very, very inspirational. It's got a fantastic lesson. Your kids are going to love it. You're going to love it. Anyone from any age is going to love this book. And it's also beautiful. I decorated it, I created it and I designed it to make it look like a decoration, because here at the Kaye household, here at Mar-a-Lago, we leave all of our books out. If you walk in our house, you'll see books everywhere. You can grab one, you can pick it up, you can read it, you can get in the Christmas spirit. And this one fits in nicely with any Christmas decor. It's beautiful. It's a glossy cover. It's got fantastic illustrations. And again, it's an amazing untold story of Christmas, one that I'm sure you haven't heard before. And next week I will read for you on the program so you can get a feel for it. But go to theuntoldstoryofchristmas.com. We also have the link in the description of this video to make it easy for you. And you can get multiple copies. In fact, most people buy more than one. Why? Well, because it's Christmas time. You're going to get invited to a party, or your kid's going to get invited to a party, or there's going to be some white elephant thing. You're going to be like, oh, I don't have a gift. Bada bing, bada boom. You have some of these handy, and you can take one and wrap it up and take it with you, and no one's going to give you the stink eye. You can stuff them in stockings or give them to your neighbors, or if you forget something for the mailman, just take a copy of The Untold Story of Christmas, shove it in the mailbox with a little note that says, "2-hour mail carrier. Thank you for your hard work." And they're going to love it because, again, it's a beautiful story and a beautiful book, and it's available now at theuntoldstoryofchristmas.com. All right, along that same vein, there's a report in the Wall Street Journal. Look at this. Sales of Bibles are booming. Sales of Bibles are booming, fueled by first-time buyers and new versions. Publishers attribute a 22% jump in Bible sales this year to rising anxiety, a search for hope, or highly focused marketing and designs. Hallelujah, Bibles are a bright spot in books this year. Worries about the economy, conflicts abroad, and uncertainty over the election pushed readers toward the publication in droves. Bible sales are up 22% in the U.S. throughout the end of October, compared with the same period last year, according to book tracker Circana Bookscan. By contrast, total U.S. print book sales were up less than 1% in that period. So while books were flatlining, Bibles were skyrocketing. Everybody was searching for Jesus this year. Why? Well, they pointed out to you the rising economy. Help me, Jesus. The anxiety over all of these conflicts all over the world. Help me, Jesus. The uncertainty in the election. Is Kamala Harris going to be president? Oh my God. Help me, Jesus. People were looking toward the good book to try to find some respite to their pain. People are experiencing anxiety themselves, or they're worried for their children and grandchildren, said Jeff Crosby, president of the Evangelical Christian Publishers Association. It's related to artificial intelligence, election cycles, and all of that feeds a desire for assurance that we're going to be okay. Sally Vasquez, a 28-year-old artist and influencer who has appeared on the reality TV show Love Island USA, recently bought her first Bible, one from the She Reads Truth line at Barnes & Noble. I've had Bibles that my mom gave me, but I felt I needed my own to start my own journey, that it symbolized I was starting a walk with God, she said. I felt something was missing. It's a combination of where we are in the world, general anxiety, and the sense that meaning and comfort can be found in the Bible. So look, a lot of people, and it's, you know what, it's no surprise. It's no surprise that a lot of people turn to religion when they're in tumultuous times. And these past 4 years have been nothing but tumultuous times. From the time Joe Biden took office, to the time that he botched the withdrawal from Afghanistan, to the moment we realized that the border was wide open and criminals were pouring into our country unchecked, to the moment we realized, look, God is there to comfort you 100%. You should pray to God and expect him to do whatever he needs to do to make sure that your life is going in the direction it needs to go into. Look, a lot of stuff happens to me. I don't understand it, but I say, okay, God, I'll just do what you want me to do, and hopefully you know what you're doing, and we'll all get through this together. That's called faith. Blindly following something that you don't necessarily understand or know how it will end up, but doing so because you have faith in a higher power guiding you. That's faith. That's God. And a lot of people in these last 4 years have been perplexed, have been despondent, have been quizzical, have been totally flabbergasted, flustered, and frustrated by Joe Biden's ridiculous presidency and the direction he's taken our country, that they don't know where to go. They can't turn to the government because the government has proven that they don't care about them. Joe Biden is using the government, as we pointed out, to investigate his own citizens. Joe Biden and the Justice Department have been going after Catholics and parents at PTA meetings. The Homeland Security Secretary, Alejandro Mayorkas, doesn't seem to care about you or your family or drugs or criminal gangs coming across the country. He's the only Secretary of Homeland Security to ever be impeached by the Congress, and he still sits there in Washington, D.C. doing absolutely nothing to mitigate the crisis at our border. Of course, look, you go to the grocery store and eggs are $19 a dozen, baby formula's through the roof, nobody can afford a house anymore, insurance is up, gas is up, everybody just goes, I don't know what to do. So they turn to prayer, they turn to God. And for a lot of us who've been praying and reading the Bible and going to church for the past few years, our prayers were answered. And I think that what you're going to see is that in adversity, people turn to the Lord. That's only natural. They start reading the Bible. They're looking for some kind of soul searching. They want somebody to fill them with joy and comfort and prosperity. And when the government doesn't provide it, they turn to God. And really, you should always turn to God first and ask God to provide you with a government that will not attack you, that will make you feel secure. You should, the government's great. Donald Trump's amazing. His cabinet's going to be top notch, but it always begins with God. God and country. That's the order. So if you're uncertain about the government or what they're doing to you, take a lesson from all of these people that are buying Bibles and know that it always starts with prayer. And in praying for a stronger government, in praying for a leader that's going to help Americans and not hurt them, in praying for a leader who's going to return us to greatness and stand up for Americans instead of standing on them. In praying for that, a lot of us believe that this November our prayers were answered. And that's why we head into the next year looking forward to the new golden age with President Trump's second term that I believe we will all soon experience. I'm very excited. I have a Bible, by the way. It's a great one. By the way, if you'd like to hear another Bible story, the Untold Story of Christmas. Oh, also, I should point out that this Thursday is our Ho Ho Hold'em charity poker tournament, and we are almost sold out of tickets. We had a couple of big purchases over the weekend. We had a couple of people that came in and bought tables. We have sold out of all of our spectator tickets, which is very exciting. And if you would like to, there's just a couple of opportunities, a handful of tickets that remain. You can get a VIK ticket at the Kaye table, the very important Kaye table. That's the live stream table where I sit. Hannah will be there as well. We just found out. We're going to have swag bags for everybody, and you can enjoy the poker tournament. You can be part of the live stream action and activity. You can sit next to me the entire night or until one of us loses and gets knocked out. And you can really be, look, everyone else is going to be jealous of you, is all I'm saying. You can get one of those tickets at our website. It's kayskids.com, www.kayskids.com. There's also some single tickets still available. And if you'd like to get 2 tickets free, get some friends together, get a whole table. 8 tickets for the price of 6 when you get your tickets for an entire table. That is Thursday night at Best Bet Monument Road in Jacksonville, Florida. And again, the website is www.kayskids.com. www.kayskids.com. All of the proceeds go to benefit our Kaye's Kids, and we kick off the 12 days of Christmas this Thursday as well. So Thursday's a big day. You're going to get to see us give our first Kaye's Kid their dream Christmas present, and then you can join us for the Ho Ho Hold'em charity poker tournament that same night. Starting at 6 p.m., cards in the air at 7. The grand prize is $1,000 cash, by the way. I always forget to mention that. I always talk about the kids and the camaraderie and how much fun it is and how people dress up. But I always forget to mention it's $1,000 grand prize and there's a trophy. And if you would like to win the trophy, if you would like to be crowned the winner of the Ho Ho Hold'em charity poker tournament for 2024, if you would like to walk away with a fistful of cash, then you need to go to kayskids.com right now and register, because it is the best event we have all year long. And it's just it's like 4 days away. I don't want you to miss out on it. If you're coming from out of town, there's also some hotel deals. You can go on the website and find out the hotel deals so that you can stay in style and save some cash, which is very exciting. But this is our official kickoff to the holiday season, and it's coming up this Thursday. I hope to see you there. Listen, thank you so much for subscribing. If you haven't yet, make sure you're doing that. Make sure you subscribe, you like, you set the notifications, you tell the platform where you're watching us or listening to us that you want more of this content, that you are a Katriot, and that you want to stay informed. You want to stay inspired. You want to stay enlightened. You want to stay entertained every single day. Because we've got a lot of enemies out there. We've got a lot of people like Joe Biden and Hunter Biden who are still trying to game the system. We've got a lot of enemies who are going to attack us relentlessly, constantly, every day for the next 4 years. And it's going to take all of us working in tandem together with all of our energy to show up, to put forth an effort, to fight, and to continue to save the Republic. Amen. Listen, have a great day. Get your tickets right now. We will see you Thursday night at the... I have an outfit that I'm very excited about, by the way. You don't have to dress up, but a lot of people do dress up for Christmas. Get your tickets before they run out. All right, I'll talk to you guys later.